Coming to you live from the palatial studios of PBJ Productions. Welcome to Patrick and BJ Talk Real Estate, where we talk about life, the universe, and everything as it relates to real estate. Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And we're back talking all things real estate, and we have with us again David from Olympic Mortgages. Thank you for joining us, David.
Thank you.
And we just were talking about this off air, but a great question that came up is, it's not always the only option for someone to sell their home to buy another home.
Right.
If there's some equity, there's some options. Is that right?
Right. Exactly.
So let's talk about that. So let's say I have a client that comes to me and says, look, I've lived in my house for the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. It's a townhouse, let's say.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to move into a single family home. Mm-hmm. What are my options? Or let me even put it to you this way. This will actually be great because I have a client who fits this criteria. So he has an investment property.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's already got one. He's got a condo that's rented.
Okay.
He's got a townhouse.
Yeah.
And he's starting to get ready to move into a single family home.
Right.
Does he have to sell that townhouse? Or in what capacity could he do it that he didn't have to sell it?
Right. Yeah. So great question. And obviously it affects a lot of people who want to get into a rental property, or generally people who want to get into rental property. So what it comes down to is, if that client has enough equity within their existing properties to pull out and use that money towards the down payment on the next house.
Okay.
So if your client who owns this townhouse has a lot of equity there, then my company would be planning with this client to refinance his house. So take the existing mortgage. Let's say we're just using round numbers. Yeah. Let's say the townhouse is worth $700,000 or $800,000, let's say, and let's say he only owes $300,000.
Okay.
So if the townhouse is worth $800,000, then the client can mortgage up to $640,000 as long as he income qualifies.
Yeah.
So we always have to keep in mind, well, we can't just grab the equity. We have to make sure that the application income qualifies somewhat.
Sure. Yeah.
But anyways, he can technically get up to $640,000.
Okay.
$640,000 minus the existing $300,000 mortgage that he owes. That'll give him $340,000 worth of funds that he can go and use as the down payment on the next property.
Okay. So when he goes to qualify for the next property, though,
yeah.
So now he's got rental income from one property. Mm-hmm. He's going to have rental income from the property that he's leaving.
Yeah.
How do we figure all that out?
So we submit to so this is assuming, first of all, that the refinance is finished.
Okay.
Because it's always harder to qualify for both deals at the same time.
Okay.
So like the refinance and the purchase.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do it.
A lot of times we do it that way.
Well, a lot of times we do it that way because people just don't, they see the house. They want to see the house before they refinance their existing house in order to purchase.
And I'm laughing only because that's how we do it a lot of times, because we find the house first and then backtrack.
Right.
But this is a really good point. If you get your ducks in a row, get your refinancing done, then it prevents these delays in purchasing that next rental property.
It prevents delays, but then it also makes your client way more competitive when they're making their offer.
Right.
So if your client already has that $340,000
ready,
that he can write a check on it, then it makes his offer so much more powerful than somebody that knows that we'll have to qualify for refinance also. So we might need more time for financing for those people.
Yeah.
And the people that haven't refinanced, the bank is going to look at all the money that they have to borrow on the stress test rate. Whereas if we're only qualifying for one deal at a time, we don't have to put all the money that they're qualifying for.
Break it down.
Stress test rate.
Okay, yeah.
To
That's
answer
another good point. Wow.
Yeah. To answer your question, we would get an estimation of market rents from a approved appraiser on the property that your client is moving out of.
Okay.
And we would then be able to use the rental income to help qualify for the mortgage.
And there's a percentage, is that right, of that rental income that you use?
Every lender is different.
Okay.
Yeah. So some lenders, as soon as the client has 2 rentals, so as soon as the client basically has 3 properties total and 2 of them are rentals, most lenders say put the rentals onto the worksheet. And this is a rental worksheet that each lender has that you put all the information about the rental into the worksheet, and then it'll spit you back out a surplus cash flow or a negative cash flow, and that's what we have to rework back into the main application. But yes, for submission purposes, generally standalone rentals would be put in as an offset.
Okay.
So not an income add back, but an offset.
Okay. So let's go back through my client's scenario.
Yep.
So I'm just going to pick round numbers.
Sure.
So let's say their townhouse rents for $3,500.
Okay.
Okay. We've taken, what did we say, 340?
So we're borrowing up to 640 altogether.
640. So, and you said 300 left was our random number. So if we had 300 left, so that leaves 340 that we can take out.
Yeah.
Okay. So 340 that you can take out, we're saying that $3,500 is what this guy is bringing in, this unit. What does that leave him then in terms of how those numbers work when he starts figuring out his new?
Generally what we're aiming for is that for both of the client's rental properties to become a wash.
Okay.
Or to become at least cash flow positive.
Yeah.
So we're at that point in time, we're just looking for his rental income, $3,500, to be able to cover most or at least part of the mortgage payment of that $640,000.
Okay.
Now, in this case, because he was already borrowing $300,000 prior to, you can't necessarily expect the rental income to cover the whole portion.
Right.
But $3,500 will cover a big portion of a mortgage payment on $640,000.
Sure.
So what I caught from this was there's when it's an individual rental, you have a personal qualification, it sounds like. When there becomes multiple properties, multiple rentals, it starts to be calculated differently as a group. Like maybe like a rental business.
Right, exactly.
So I heard that right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. It actually, just hearing the conversation here, makes me think of Devin and a past client of mine who was first-time home buyer, and when we asked him, we did an interview with him because I got him into his forever home and everything with him and his wife and young son, and I asked him, why did you wait this long? Because they waited quite a while, and they did it only because they were forced, because their landlord's son was coming home and needed a place to live.
Okay.
Anyway, what he said to me was, well, we just believed everything that we read or everything that we thought, and it wasn't until we actually contacted somebody who knew something about mortgages at the bank, and talked to you, that we realized we could do this thing. Because this sounds a lot simpler than people kind of try to make out the process to be.
Yeah.
Is it like, it seems to me far more straightforward than I've heard it presented, I guess, from people who don't know. Mm-hmm. Right?
I think that's probably the confusing aspect, is like they don't really know, they're unsure about it.
Yeah.
Where
and it's
Dave
right?
kind of knows exactly how
it's about
done.
when you talk to somebody, you know, if they're an expert, then trust their opinion.
Yeah.
If you talk to someone who they just Googled it and so now they're an expert, well, maybe not.
A Google expert.
Right?
Yeah. I see it all the time. I see people coming to us all the time with whatever previous notions they had from their research.
Yeah.
And generally, when people are getting their research just from the internet, you can only trust it to a certain extent.
Sure.
But I always tell my clients, don't try to be your own mortgage broker. Like, I can dispel all the myths in an easy 15-minute phone call.
Right.
I tend to just simplify things as much as I can.
Right.
And then after I simplify things and people kind of understand, that's when I'll start to get into the nitty-gritty details of qualifying and things like that. But the basic point, you know, the basic tenets of it is it's not rocket science, but you have to be able to apply the policies properly.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you know, we could keep going on and on, but I think we're going to wrap it there for this episode. And
Absolutely.
if you have any questions for us or for David, put it in the comments. We'll certainly look at those. And if you want to reach out to David directly, we'll put his contact information in the description so you can get a hold of him, and any questions that you have he can help you with as well. And for us, if you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. It just helps us with getting the word out and growing the channel. And if you have specific things that you think, hey, I'd like to know, you guys to cover this or something else, put that in the comments as well, because we're happy to address those as well. So yeah.
And the trolls sometimes. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's entertaining.
I mean,
or jokes.
Right.
I don't mind jokes.
There's,
but
yeah.
But,
I get a chuckle out of the troll sometime, and I'm like, you're in the basement. What else are you gonna do? I guess, right?
It's all good.
You're in your parents' basement, and you're 40.
It's all good.
Gonna be a troll.
Anyways, David, thank you for joining us and answering these questions. It's been very enlightening. I remember buying my second property, but keeping my first. I don't remember the process. I just remember how easy it was.
Okay.
It was actually easier than what I thought. I
Good.
refinanced, and then so I'm into my house. It was a while ago, and I don't mean I bought in the '60s. Like, I bought my first house. We paid the property transfer tax. We had our down payment. We had a good down payment. No CMHC. And then some years later, we increased our equity. I refinanced that property, pulled out nearly 20%. I'm $8,000 into my house, other than my original down payment for my condo.
Nice.
So
it was a good strategy for you.
it was such a good strategy.
And that's the main.
And I kept the condo for a while again.
Yeah.
And let it appreciate.
All of these things that we talk about are long-term strategies.
Yeah.
Like, we have to just remember that everything's long-term.
Right.
So, but yes, having a refresher. Thank you so much for joining us and explaining that. And of course, thank you. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.